I'm Marco Antonio Cepeda, and I'm going to be talking to you guys about the differences between sex, gender, and sexuality. Let's go back on June 26, 2015. The United States Supreme Court ruled in favor for gay marriage across all state lines. This ruling gave the LGBT community hope that as the days go by, they too will be more equal in the eyes of the law. However, it seems that through this ruling, the community has lost itself in a way. It has forgotten a key player in the entire LGBT community, the gender community. It is important to start at the beginning again, like I said. We all know that we are born with either two forms of genitalia, either penis. If you have a penis, then you're considered a male. If you have vagina, you're considered a female. We can even go more into specifics and say that when you look at the chromosomes, if you have X and X for your last pair of chromosomes, you are a female. If you have an X and a Y, then you're considered male. But what I just referred to is sex. Sex, as defined by the American Psychological Association, is a person's biological status, and it is typically categorized as being male or female. However, sex and gender have been used interchangeably many times, and it shouldn't be. Gender, as defined by the American Psychological Association again, is the psychological, behavioral, social, and cultural aspects of being male or female. Basically, how feminine or masculine one considers themselves to be. Meaning that when we speak about sex, it is usually, again, referred to just male or female. However, gender can be viewed more as a spectrum. There's many terms one may use on themselves in regards to how they identify themselves on the gender spectrum. And keep in mind that one can move along the spectrum as well. This basically means that one is able to dress and or act feminine while being male, or they can act and or dress masculine while being female. The reason why it is so important to have these conversations is because it is something we face in our daily lives. According to the New York Times, 1.4 million Americans consider themselves transgender, meaning that they don't define themselves as the sex they were assigned to. They consider themselves the opposite. Furthermore, there has been much controversy on the bathroom laws in many states. But the biggest problem is that we are not being educated in this subject. We have been taught that there are only two genders, but like I mentioned before, that's not the case. Moreover, it is completely valid for someone to want to be their opposite sex. This is because there has been many cases where people define themselves as the opposite sex. We are at a point in time where we are exposed to so many more different types of people. Take for instance Bruce Jenner, now Caitlyn Jenner. She was an Olympian, the man's man as they called her, but now she came out as transgender. And although she did suffer some backlash, those in the transgender community applauded her for her story and how she got regular Americans introduced to the idea of gender. Laverne Cox is another prime example. She came down recently to the University of the Texas Rio Grande Valley where she gave a speech about gender. Her headline was, "And Ain't I a Woman?" She spoke over transgender rights and the idea of gender as well. We need to have more open conversations with our students and children. The idea of gender is not complicated. We just need to have an open ear and an open mind. Lastly, I want to talk about sexuality and how it got lost within gender. Many people have the idea that because one is a gay man, they might want to be a woman, or if one is a gay woman, they might want to be a man. That's not the case whatsoever. Sexuality, as defined by the American Psychological Association, is to whom one is sexually and romantically attracted to. This means that gender and sexuality aren't intertwined. There's gay men who enjoy being men, there's gay men who enjoy being feminine, and there's gay men who enjoy dressing up as women. You see, humans are very complex. If we try to categorize each and every single person into their own categories, then we will find that every single one of us are in a different category, because we all have something different about ourselves. We need to be able to understand and accept all types of human beings, those who fall out of the gender spectrum or are moving along the spectrum, or don't define themselves as their assigned sex, but rather the opposite, or have a completely different sexuality. We can't see them as anything less. Basically, sex is based on chromosomes. Gender is a spectrum as to how feminine or masculine one decides themselves to be. And sexuality is who you find sexually and romantically attractive. If we can start by just understanding these major labels, then we will be able to have a more understanding human race. Thank you.